I'm coming. Holy Jiminy Crickets, I'm so late. Oh, my God. Ugh. No, Doc? Wonder what's up. He's been taking a lot of time lately. Doc on the phone. Hey, Doc. Where are you at? Oh, you're down the shore. Did you okay that with the boss? Okay, yeah, good. Taking a lot of time lately here. I don't know. Yeah, I was at camp last week. But I was working. I was filming stuff at camp. Yeah. Yeah, well, I was down the shore before that, I know. I was, again, camping a lot of weekends, I know. But, come on, hey. Well, have a good, you're down at the beach, have a blast. Right, tell Mrs. Dredd and all the grandkids I said, yo, and I'll take it from here. Yeah. It's our last one this summer, yep. Then it's the fall. Oh, and John Rios has a boatload of things for us this fall. Been looking at the schedule. We'll be busy. All right. Take care, man. Bye. All right. The Doc's away. The Mad Darbarian will play. And let's get it started. Greetings, warriors! How you doing tonight? I'm flying solo because the Doc's away. He's at the beach with the family, and he deserves this time. Even though I'm going to bust on him anyway. Right? Anyway, so, good evening, friends. Welcome to WONTV's Cemetery Cinema. I'm the Mad Darbarian, and the Doc, well, he ain't here. He's out having fun with his family. But I'm the gatekeeper for this movie showcase program. We bring you horror and sci-fi flicks from the past, the present, the future, and beyond. And we are the king of independent horror movies. We have had so many on this year. We're going to have a whole lot more. We got our Shorty Fest coming up. Even more independent movies. So you guys are going to have such a good time with all the movies we got. It's the boss. Hey, boss. So what'd you dig up this week? Okay. Yeah, just me. Doc's on vacation again. Yep. I'm sorry. The deal was we do our shows, we make you happy. Had they been good when we've been doing individuals? Okay. The Doc's better. I get it. Oh, man. I can't wait for HR to hear. No. I was just mumbling to myself. Yeah. So what do we got? Another Larry Buchanan movie? It's alive? Oh my God. That I've seen it years and years ago. Okay. All right. Well, looks like I got to get to work. Talk to you, boss. Oh God, another Larry Buchanan movie. This one, It's Alive. And it's not the It's Alive with the babies from 74. And it's not It's Alive from the guys who were like the rugby team that landed in South America and ended up eating each other. No, it's not that that's alive. This It's Alive is a bad B movie that you guys will love, okay? So basically, right, it's this lunatic farmer finds a prehistoric monster in a cavern in his land, right? Now, to feed this critter, he kidnaps people, right? But in the movie, he kidnaps these 3 specific people, right? And they try to escape, right? And at the end, we'll let you know what happens at the end, right? But this movie is it's going to take a lot of work from me to make it worthwhile for you. But, I'm telling Buchanan is quoted as saying that he shot this film in 6 days inside a cave in Arkansas. Okay. And I'm telling you guys, the movie, it's goofy, it's funny. It is a classic B movie. You guys are going to enjoy this, okay? The narrator, so at the beginning of the movie, the narrator says this, and it's hysterical. There is a legend in these hills that when it rains and the sun shines at the same time, the devil is kissing his wife. The hell does that have to do with the movie or anything in general? Boy. All right. So, guys, right? It's rated PG, so the kids can watch. It's a little sci-fi scariness, people getting conked in the head, but, no blood, no gore. It's typical 1950s, 60s sci-fi scariness, So do me a favor. Go get your popcorn, right? Pop in the recliner. Get the kids sit next to you and enjoy tonight's classic feature, It's Alive, by Larry Buchanan and American International Pictures. Oh, my God. And to think this guy became a legend after all these movies. We'll be back. So what do we got in this movie, right? We got a smart-ass husband, right, who talks down to his wife. We have a submissive wife. We have the handsome paleontologist. Because, you always run into a paleontologist when you're out on the road, right? And oh, my God. And the guy that owns the house, what a putz. And my favorite is Bella, right? She's like the caretaker of the place. Oh my God, I love what they do. Well, they do her backstory, which is really funny, and you guys will get a kick out of it. All right. So what do we got? So let's see. So the director and writer is Larry Buchanan, right? He started his films in the Army Signal Corps, right? Because he wanted to become a director, right? But he played bit parts in the movies, right, just to get himself involved, right? So he was in The Gunfighter with Gregory Peck. Wow. He did a bunch of historic religious documentaries for Oral Roberts. Wow, that's different. He was assistant director in The Marrying Kind, right? Sort of like a serious kind of, movie, right? But he left acting, right, for production and directing, right? So he started on the Gabby Hayes Show, right? Then he directed his first film, The Cowboy, which was actually nominated for a Peabody Award, right? But Buchanan, according to this reviewer, would never again taste critical praise, right? He segued into low-budget exploitation films, right? Most of them, they're drive-in or straight-to-TV, right? He was in a bunch of, 60s movies where they talk about, taboo issues for back then, such as sex, right? Racial relations, right? Getting tattoos, it's funny. So a couple of those movies, right? One was Underage, right? Which I don't even want to know what that's about, right? Free White, 21, and High Yellow, right? Never seen them, don't know what they're about. I can only imagine, right? But then he solidified his reputation as, their words, not me, a hack with a spat of ultra low-budget remakes from AIP science fiction pot boilers, including Zontar, which we had on last year, Mars Needs Women, which we will be having on probably, early next year, right? Then he actually wrote a book about all this mess he did, right? And it's called, in his memoir, that's the name of his book, It Came from Hunger, A Tale of a Cinema Schlockmeister. Yes, he gave himself the title of the Cinema Schlockmeister, right? He talked about his style of independent films, right? Guerrilla filmmaking. If you know what guerrilla filmmaking is, it's you're basically making a film in an area without a permit to get in and get out. If you remember, we talked about our Killer Driller, right? The first movie we had on, right? That was filmed guerrilla style because in New York, right, you have to get all kinds of permits to like film. So I imagine down there in Arkansas, right, he was dodging all of the fact that he had to get the permits and let people know they were actually using their land, right? And in the cave in Arkansas, it was not his land. He just went down there and started filming. He thought it was a great place. Now, he was also, right, with a ton of other movies, right? Attack of the Eye Creatures. We had that on a month ago, right? Creature of Destruction. We had that on not too long ago. In the year 2989, I can't wait to get that movie. That was one of my favorite movies watching as a kid, you know? So basically, you know, Larry Buchanan was the king of bad B movies. Thank God we got content, right? Now, the movie starred Tommy Kirk as Wayne Thomas, right? The paleontologist, right? He was the local that told him to go to the farm to see if they can get gas kind of thing, right? You know, so basically them going up there was his fault, even though he didn't know, right? But he was in a ton of Disney classics. He was in Old Yeller, Swiss Family Robinson, Babes in Toyland, and he was in another movie, Pajama Party. I don't think that's a Disney classic, right? The wife, right, Shirley Boone, right? She was an actress. She's known for My Sister Eileen. She was in one episode of Star Trek. She was in the Bob Cummings show, and she was on Mannix. If you guys remember Mannix, right? He was the detective who broke and that show actually broke a lot of boundaries because it was filmed in the late 60s, early 70s. He had an African American as a secretary, right, which was kind of like a faux pas back then, and he had a cell phone. Now it was not an aquaphone, kind of phone you use on a boat, but it was in his car. So he was the very first person in TV that had a phone in his car, right? Which was just funny back then because you're watching it, and the show was made in the 70s, right? But the guy had a telephone. It was kind of like, ooh, futuristic, you know? Bad guy, Bill Thurman, right? He was a Marine, so, you know, I got to give him that, right? He portrayed rough, tough, grumpy, tough guys most of his movies. He was in a boatload of bad exploitation films in the 50s and the 60s, like Hot Blooded Woman. He was in Zontar. He was in Hop Top, right? 21, Black Cat, Attack of the Eye Creatures, again, 2 weeks ago, right? But then he was actually in some real good movies, like Silverado, right? One of my favorite Westerns, right? Places of the Heart. He was actually in TV's Dallas, right? And in Broad Daylight. But he's mostly known for his Larry Buchanan films, right? Everybody's got it stuck with something, right? Then we have Annabelle Wienik, right? Belle, the caretaker of the house, right? The one that he has stuck there, right? She was an actress. She was known for Common Law Wife, Don't Look in the Basement, Cop and a Half, right? And then she was in tons and tons of TV dramas and comedies and sitcoms in the 70s and early 80s, right? So she was somebody that's been around for a while. But God, this cast. So the cast actually has people that were pretty good in it. Too bad that it didn't interpret onto the film. Thank you, Larry Buchanan. Oh man. Here we go. We'll be back. All right. This movie reminds me of Manos. If you guys have seen Manos, right? Just about everybody who's had a horror movie on has had Manos on, right? And I mean, Mystery Science Theater and Riff Tracks have done it multiple times, right? Elvira's done it. I don't think that Sven's actually had Manos the Hands of Fate, which is weird because he usually has like a lot of the bad movies. But anyway, right? So, I mean, and it just reminds me, travelers get stuck. They go to a house, look for help, and then bad stuff happens, right? Now, questions, right? Bella. She was able to go in and out of the cell where there were 3 prisoners, right? The guy, the paleontologist, the guy, and his wife, right? And she goes out multiple times with bread and water with the key, right? Why didn't they overpower her? Why didn't they follow her out of the cave, right? No. What do? They come up with a plan for her to smuggle dynamite to bring back to blow up the cell bars instead of just conking her in the head and sneaking out. It moves the plot forward, but, you know. Next, what do you think of this monster, right? Like, duct tape, super glue. I mean, it looks like something that, like a 5th grader in plaster of Paris put together to make a helmet that's supposed to be something scary, but it looks ridiculous. Oh, the movie's just bad. Bad. Oh, my God. So, all right, fast fact. This film was originally written for Peter Lorre to play the guy at the house, right? I mean, can you just picture that? Hi, I'm Peter Lorre. Why don't you come downstairs and meet my monster? Oh, my goodness. So, one of the things, right, that also pops up, people are talking about this movie, right, is when they interview Larry Buchanan about, you know, doing this movie, and he was talking to a reporter that the day the movie was going to be released on TV, right? He said, one day we did 57 setups. That's 57, you know, different times that they set up where they were going to do a different scene, right? We didn't see a foot of film until the whole batch came back from the lab a week later. 9 days later, we had it scored, printed the film, delivered it to AIP, who made a 5 o'clock deadline for the package to one of their stations. It was frantic. It was a different way of doing movies, okay? So what does that mean? That means that they did the movie, put it together, right? And then within 2 weeks, had it to a TV station at 5 o'clock to show that night. Yeah. Not like today. I mean, when you look at movies today, what does Marvel do? They film, right? And after they film, they refilm. And after they refilm again. And then it's in a movie about a week later. Right? Not a way to do TV. Not a way to do movies. And yet he got away with it. Oh my, what am I going to do with this movie? This movie's going to drive me nuts.
You've got mail.
Oh, we got mail. And we got jokes. All right. We have jokes from Noah Scalaney. If I got that wrong, I apologize. Noah Scalaney of Romansville, Pennsylvania. All right, Romansville. All right. So he sent us some jokes. Why did the Scarecrow win the Summer Camp Award? Because he was outstanding in his field. What do you call a bear with no teeth at summer camp? A gummy bear. Why did the tomato turn red during summer camp? Because it saw the salad dressing. What do you call a fish that goes to summer camp? A school of fish. All right, two more. Why did the tree go to summer camp? It wanted to branch out and make new friends. All right. And why don't vampires like summer camp? They can't stake the heat. And we'll be back. Oh, God. Thank you for staying for this movie. All right. So, when I was going over some of the reviews, and I saw a couple that were hysterical, right? One is a review from DVD Talk. Reported that the film features endless footage of a couple driving. And that if you disregard the kill scenes, the laughable rubber monster suit, the clunky photography, the plotting pace, the ample padding, It's Alive isn't really that bad. And it says the cast did a decent job with what they were given. TV Guide described the film as a nonsensical sci-fi non-masterpiece. You know, they were right, because this movie puts the B in bad. All right? So what do I give it tombstone-wise, right? I'm going to give it 2 tombstones. I was thinking of 1. 1 would mean it has no redeeming value. I'm going to go 2 because I had a cast that were in a bunch of other movies. I mean, one fellow was in Silverado, right? You know, so I'll give it 2 tombstones. But Larry Buchanan, I don't know whether you should be ashamed of yourself or proud of yourself. Because if you're ashamed of yourself for the way these movies are, because these movies are BAD. But you got to admit, we're still playing them, and we've had 3 of your movies just this summer, and this is the 3rd in a row of movies we've had, between the doc and me this summer. So, thank you for the content. And only wish you had better taste, in putting things together. Oh my goodness! But we got mail. All right. So what do we got? So let's see. It's from Missy Harrop of Trimbleville, Pennsylvania. What was the longest drive you ever went on? Longest drive I ever went on would be traveling down the spring break with the Warriors back in the mid 80s, right? So we drove from Darby, right? And drove straight down to Fort Lauderdale, got there in 20 hours, right? And it was the longest trip. It was me, 3 of my friends, in a Toyota Celica, right, driving. And when you're driving from, like, the East Coast, right, from Darby, basically, Darby, I get on 95 South, and I take a left at Fort Lauderdale. But that was about it. We didn't kill each other. I didn't get lost. I didn't run out of gas. I have to go to a farm and ask them, and then they stick me in a basement and have a monster try to kill me. Did not happen. All right? Fans, people out there, what was the longest drive you ever went on? Huh? I have a good friend of mine who was a Marine who was stationed in San Diego and drove from San Diego back to the Philadelphia area, right? And he did it in 2 weeks. He could have done it in a week, but he did it in 2 weeks because he kind of zigzagged his way home, popping at all his Marine buddies' houses on the way back from San Diego. Took him 2 weeks. I could not do 2 weeks in a car. Could not do it. Anyway, so, all right, what do we got coming up? So, if you guys have noticed, right, we picked up a baseball team. We got the New York Boulders. Those games have been on. We had, I believe it was this past weekend, we had 2 of their games, right? We are going to be on either we're not going to be on some nights in the fall, right? Because this is the last week. Then the next 2 weeks we have football, high school football coming out the wazoo. It's going to be fantastic, right? And along with that, right, we will probably be on after the Friday night high school football games. So most nights will probably be on at 10 o'clock. So, hey, bars, everybody out there in Delco, right? You want to have Strathaven football as they go through all the other teams in the Delco League. Have it on, and then bang, I'll be on right after with me and the doc every Friday night, probably around 10. Right? So all you got to do is turn on WON, and you can have football and then Cemetery Cinema with Delco's only horror host, the Mad Darbarian, and Gilbertsville only horror host, Dr. Dread. All right. So, if you guys want to send us an email, tell us how we're doing, make suggestions, tell us to stop showing Larry Buchanan movies, send us an email up here at WON, right? And we'll do our best. But remember, when you send them, right, they go to the boss first. So be nice, okay? It's going to be when you write to the boss, he reads it. So don't tell him like anything bad's going on. Don't tell him I talked about him either. All right. But if you want to watch anything, it's on WON. Just pop up to our website, WON TV, and you can also pick us up on streaming on the Budget app on your Roku. And by the way, the ratings just came out. We are the #1 rated station on the Stream On app. Come on by, right? And Stream On has a dozen, maybe 15 different stations other than all the other things that they offer, right? And one of the stations that, other than WON on the app I watch, is Throwback TV. Oh my God, I love watching Astro Boy every morning at 8:30, right? And then on Saturday afternoons, if I'm not watching the sports on WON with the bowling and the wrestling, I'll be watching the sci-fi on Throwback Channel. So guys, come on by, right? On streaming on a Budget app, we got a ton of things out there for you, right? If you want to find out what the doc's doing, right, all you got to do is hit hashtag Dr. Dread Reviews, right? And he has tons and tons of shows he does, right? He does Trailer Park. He does Dr. Dread Reviews, which is on every Friday, either at 9:40 or at 11:40, depending on the week, on the Monster Channel. Dr. Dread is a staple of the Monster Channel, right? On Mondays, he has Myrtle Table Monday, every Monday at 5 o'clock, which is great because it's kind of like the doc out there just talking about, what he has going on movie-wise, what he's got going on in his life. He has trivia questions, and they tell you, all the doc's patients show up. When I'm on there on Mondays, right, and there must be 30 or 40 people, just regulars that pop in on Myrtle Table Money, and it's always fun. The doc makes a ton of jokes. It's well worth watching that podcast, right? You want to get a hold of me, just pop by the @ Mad Darbarian. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, right? I'm on them all, right? And let me tell you, with all the different socials we're on, the doc and I try to keep everything that we do, right? So if I do like a preview, I put on Facebook, I will post it out to all of our socials, right? So if you're somebody that's only on one and not the other, right, we'll have it on there, right? So, pop by, friend us, do us a favor, like us, right? Help us grow. We'll show more stuff, right? You can also pop by at Cemetery Cinema. We have a Facebook page, Instagram page. We have a YouTube page. YouTube page is a page in progress, but pop on by, right? A lot of cool stuff we have going on out there. All right? And, well, that's it. We'll see you guys next week. And God knows, I need this after this movie. Holy Christmas. So, patience, warriors, my cemetery seminarians, sweet dreams, and we'll talk to you next week on Cemetery Cinema. Keep it creepy. And see ya.
Ugh.